Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about cooking the art. The goals of this activity are first and foremost to continue building understanding of transformations and geometric transformations in our students, and also encourage more precise thinking for these transformations. So we've done some activities on like working with transformations and working with language around transformations, but now we're really going to try to get our students to hone in on the details of these transformations. And in addition, we're going to work on building voice among students, mostly by encouraging collaboration and making sure that everyone has a chance to contribute to the discussion. Everyone should have something to contribute. Okay, so we're going to start off by looking at the art pieces that we'll be working with, which is these four right here, and do a sort of a notice and wonder activity. So ask your students, what do you notice about this art? What do you wonder about it? For example, the first time I looked at some of these, this top one right up here almost looked like a bird kind of shape here, maybe flapping its wings. So just ask your students, what do you notice? Just take in the art and appreciate it. Then, when you're ready to move on to the math, you can work on the cook the art activity. So for each of these pieces, you can take parts of them and you can transform it into other parts. And this is sort of the basis of the activity here. Eventually, you'll be dividing your students into 2 or 3 groups, but you can start off with an example of what exactly these groups are going to do. So one group is going to write some instructions on how to take a shape in one of these art pieces and transform it into another shape. And the other group is going to try to interpret those instructions and understand which art piece those instructions should apply to. But those instructions are really the meat of the matter, right? They get students to start thinking about how to describe these transformations precise enough that someone else can replicate them. And you can demonstrate how precise they need to be with an example. So let's say you were looking at this art and you ask your students, okay, I want you to describe to me how I can transform shape number 1, which I've picked to be the red triangle here. I want you to describe how I can transform shape number 1 into shape number 2, which is the black triangle here. And some of you who are really quick at these things, you could say, oh, it's a reflection across the x-axis, but your students aren't going to jump right to that. So let them sort of try to describe to you how to get from shape number 1 to shape number 2. And then maybe one student says, oh, you need to flip it. You're like, okay, well, if I take this shape and I flip it, let's flip it this way. And then you ask students, is that what you wanted? And they say, no, that's not the flip I want. You say, okay, let's go back. All right, what do you want? Oh, we want to flip it vertically. We want to flip it up the up and down direction. You say, okay, what if we flip it like this? Is this the flip that you want, right? So we sort of flipped it kind of along this mid-axis. It's a vertical flip, but maybe that's not the flip you want. It didn't land on the thing. Okay, well, maybe we can work with this flip and then use a translation. Okay, so the students say, we want to slide it. And you say, okay, let's slide it. No, that's not where we wanted to slide it. Where do we want to slide it? We want to slide it down. Down by how much? And so you can start to see that you really work in the details of these transformations about what axis or about what point you're rotating, and how much are you doing it by. And so you can really fold in sort of that more quantitative reasoning with these geometric shapes. Once you've sort of demonstrated how difficult describing these transformations can be in any sort of precise detail, then you can move into having people split up into teams and then have the teams describe transformations to each other, and making sure that they stay respectful and that they keep in mind some of these difficulties that came up even when you were doing the introduction to the activity.